Hey there YouTube, Mike Armstrong here. Whew, what a week. I have to sit down for it to do the debrief on this one. I had all sorts of trouble with this painting over the last 2 weeks. What you would have seen is that I did a lot of experimentation in this painting, experimenting with different color combinations, different tonal variations, different mediums. I was using liquid in this painting, and I've never used that before. I was painting on board when I normally paint on canvas. I found some of those experiments were good, and some of the experiments didn't necessarily help my painting style. And we'll look at some of those examples now. What you'll see is that I managed to finish the top half of the painting relatively quickly. And that was because the amount of time that I'm able to allocate each day, which is 1 to 2 hours, I was able to put in enough time to be able to block out all those components in that time, in one sitting. But there was insufficient time to then do the rest of the body, the shoulders and the upper part of the chest. And so that meant that I actually did almost 2 paintings. I painted the face, then I looked at playing around with the hair, and I did a lot of experimentation in the way to paint hair, and I tried all sorts of different methods. Most of them I didn't like, and then I'd paint again, and I'd try another method for doing painting. And I was just really having a lot of fun experimenting in different ways of doing it. But what ended up happening was it was 3 separate paintings. There was a face painting, there was a hair painting, and then there was the upper torso painting and neck area. And because I treated those as 3 separate paintings, there's an imbalance between them. They don't necessarily ride together. And what I find is that the brush strokes and my color choices in one section are going to be different in another section. And that's because a week has passed, or I'm in a different mood, or when I look at my reference photo, I'm seeing different colors. And that happens. What I find is my artist's eye, when it comes to paint variations and oil painting in general, I'm out of practice. I haven't done a lot of oil painting over the last 5 years because I've been focused on sculpture and drawing. And so it meant that when it came to discerning those colors, depending on my mood on the day, I would feel like painting different things. And so it meant that the resulting work, if I look at each individual component, I can be quite happy with that. But as a collective, the 3 components that I broke the painting down to, I wasn't happy with. I persisted until I sort of felt like I'd learned all the lessons I need to learn, which is don't paint it like that again next time. I probably won't use liquid. Liquid was drying far too quickly, and it meant that I couldn't extend those working areas out into the next section the next time I was painting. I'm only painting for short periods of time, and it just wasn't enough to be able to carry that paint through for the next day. And my palette would be dry, and I'd have to remix all my colors and start again. And so there were slight tonal variations each day. The liquid also, when I was using that, I was using it to glaze, and I found that when I applied the glaze, I loved it. I thought the color was good. I thought the texture, the brush marks that I was laying down were excellent. And then I'd come in the next day and I hated it. The way it would dry was very different to the way it was applied. And so that inconsistency I found very frustrating. So each day I'd come in, I'd look at it and go, ugh, and then I'd want to repaint that. And so I ended up sort of reworking many bits over and over again. But each time I come in the next day, I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted again. So I'm going to chalk this painting up to experience, and it means that the next painting, I'm going to take a few lessons into that. So for the next painting, I'm going to conduct a tonal study before I embark on the oil painting component of it, the colouring component of the painting. So I'll have that colour study done, so that way all those decisions are made before I actually commence work on the final painting. I will look to paint or the similar components at the same time. So when I pick out a tone, say in the face, and that tone is the same tone that's riding across the shoulders or down into the armpit, I'm going to carry that tone through. I'm going to complete that all the way through the painting, rather than painting that tone in on one day in one area and then at another time trying to put in the tone in another area. I'm going to try and bring some uniformity into my approach to the painting, rather than getting fixated on the bits that I like doing, which is the face. Of course, I really love painting the faces, and you can tell the face I'm quite happy with, but the bits that I didn't like painting, I sort of put them off to the end, and then by then my perceptions had changed on the painting, and so I was really chasing myself around in circles. So overall, well, what do you say? I got a lot out of the exercise, which is the point of all this, and I hope you did too. I hope you learned from some of those lessons, and let's see if I can fix them for the next painting. If you enjoyed this week's video, please give us a thumbs up, and subscribe so you can catch next week's episode. Tell your friends, share the videos. I really appreciate you reaching out and sharing my work. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, hear what you think. And if you have any suggestions on how you think I should have gone with the decisions I made in the painting, I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say. Thanks very much. Catch you next week.